Hey there, CineMaster fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The movie The Princess starts in the Middle Ages at the king's castle. We see the princess sleeping peacefully in a wedding dress. But when she wakes up, she finds her hands shackled and feels a pain in her head. She tries to remember how she ended up in this room, but her memories are blurry. She's alone in the room, but her legs are free. So she moves around as she likes. She can't escape because the door is locked, and she hears voices approaching the room. She hurries back to the bed and pretends to be asleep. When the guards enter, they think the princess is still sleeping. One of them gets closer to her, even though the other guard warns him not to. Suddenly, the princess wakes up and attacks the guard, then screams as she breaks her own thumb to slip out of the manacles. She attacks the guard with the shackles, but he pulls her down. She pulls a sharp pin from her hair and stabs him in the eye. The second guard comes at her and hits her. But she's not scared. She grabs the pin from the first guard and attacks the second, stabbing him multiple times. She fights him with all her strength, and the fight gets intense until she pushes him to the window. He tells her, "You'll never escape," but she replies, "I'm not running, I'm finishing you." Then, she lands a heavy blow and throws him out the window. The princess hears another guard approaching, so she grabs a hammer and attacks him fiercely, takes the key to the manacles from him, and frees her other hand. She leaves the room and enters another, looks out the window and sees the guards sealing off the castle entrance to stop anyone from escaping or getting in. She also sees her royal family being captured. Two people appear, Julius and Moira, who plan to execute the royal family now that their rule has fallen. The king begs for peace, but Julius ignores him, wanting to marry the princess and rule the country by force. He tells the king, "You're weak and cowardly. You ruled the country badly. I'll marry the princess because I can take whatever I want." The princess is upset seeing her family taken away and feels guilty. We learn the king only has 2 daughters, so there's no male heir. That's why he decided to marry the princess to Julius, making Julius the next king. The princess is shocked when she finds out because she didn't know Julius would become king. She refuses to marry him and decides to leave the wedding ceremony. That's when all the chaos started, and Julius decided to take the throne by force. Now, the princess hears someone coming into the room, so she hides before a giant enters. He doesn't know she's there. We see the princess hiding in a tub full of water, trying not to make a sound so he won't see her, barely holding her breath. The giant doesn't notice her and leaves. The princess gets out of the tub struggling to breathe and rips off parts of her dress because it's too heavy from the water. She leaves and moves very carefully to avoid the guards, but unfortunately the giant spots her and grabs her. He pulls out a massive sword. When the princess hits him, he doesn't feel a thing. The fight begins between them. At first, she dodges his attacks and finds an opening to beat him, making him use his own strength against himself and smash into the wall. She climbs onto his shoulder, removes his helmet, and stabs him in the back with the helmet's horns, then hits him on the head and knocks him out. This fight reminds the princess of her childhood dreams of becoming a warrior. Her trainer, Lin, used to train her. At that time, her mother was pregnant and wanted a son, not wanting her daughter to learn fighting. But Lin convinced her to let the princess continue her lessons as long as the king didn't find out. Lin told her, "She's smart and strong and can learn a lot." The mother agreed. Back in the present, the soldiers find the guard's body, the one the princess threw in the water, and drag it to Julius. Kier, the head of the guards, thinks the guard just fell from the tower and died, but Moira sees the bruises and realizes someone killed him. Kier denies it, saying the tower is under their control and everything is going according to Julius's plan. Julius orders Kier to check on the princess and warns him not to let anything happen to her. Kier picks another guard for the job, but this one is fat and never climbs the tower stairs. Hasn't been up there in years. Meanwhile, the princess rests in another room in the tower and rips off another piece of her dress so she can move more easily. Suddenly, 2 thieves break into the room. She reacts quickly, grabs a broken stick, and stabs one of them. She grabs some rope and attacks the second thief, tying him to a pillar with impressive skill. She picks up a bow and arrow from the ground, points it at the thief, and threatens him, asking what Julius did to her family. The thief laughs at her, saying, "You don't even know how to use that weapon." The first thief moves, but she shoots him with the arrow and kills him. The second thief, terrified by what he just saw, still refuses to talk and challenges the princess to kill him. She doesn't hesitate and kills him too, takes his sword and leaves. She sees the tower is full of guards searching for loot to steal. The princess moves carefully, avoiding all of them. But when she sees guards getting closer, she decides to climb out the window and hide, dangling there. The fat guard takes a break at the same window, catching his breath from the stairs. The princess is forced to drop her sword into the water below because it's too heavy. Once the fat guard moves on, she slips back inside and moves quietly. We notice the guards are distracted by the loot they're stealing. The princess sneaks through the narrow corridors, avoiding everyone. No one notices her. She sees the guards looting the kingdom's treasures, and Julius has no idea his men are stealing. After the guards leave, she enters the room and retrieves a sword from a hidden place. The sword reminds her of memories training in the forest with Lin. Lin taught her that fighting isn't just about the sword. You have to fight with your heart. Lin brings in a teacher named Kai, one of the king's advisors who trained Lin in combat. He comes to test the princess's skills. Of course, Kai beats her, but she focuses and fights with her heart, just like Lin taught her. Kai is impressed by her performance and admits she's become skilled, giving her the sword as a gift and telling her, "Now you have the heart of a warrior." Now, the princess puts on a belt and a new pair of shoes suited for fighting. She's armed and ready for any battle. She enters the hallway between the rooms, listens in, and hears Julius's voice in the distance. She follows the sound until she finds him and spies on him through a small hole in the wall. She sees him with Moira, and from their conversation we find out that Julius and Moira are actually in love, and Julius just wanted to marry the princess to become king, nothing more. So Moira tells him, "Now you're strong and have men at your command, so why don't you just take the kingdom by force?" He tells her, "I have to follow the old traditions. When I marry the princess, I'll become part of the royal family and then I'll be king. I'll rid this kingdom of its weakness, and after that, I'll kill the old king, because violence will make the people fear me." Moira tells him, "You're really smart," and encourages him to stick to his plan. The princess overhears everything and understands Julius's intentions. She thinks of a way to kill him, and wedges her sword between the stones, ready to strike. But Julius freezes when he hears a knock at the door and the guard says, "The king wants to see you." Meanwhile, the fat guard finally reaches the princess's room, totally out of breath. He peeks through the door crack and sees someone lying on the princess's bed, so he assumes that's the princess and that the dead guard is just sitting there watching her. He's got it totally wrong, but he just shrugs and leaves. The princess is still sneaking through the corridors, with guards everywhere, but they're all focused on looting and stealing. Julius goes to meet the king, and the king asks him to reconsider his plan, saying, "You'll turn the people against you." But Julius doesn't care and tells him, "You're a traitor and a failure, and you need to be removed from your position." The princess comes out of the corridor and finds herself face to face with a giant suit of armor. Turns out, it's another giant guard. He grabs her by her clothes, but she pulls herself together and fights him. Even though she wasn't ready for another fight, she dodges his attacks but can't land a blow because the armor protects him. Then she spots his weak point. Under his armpit is exposed. She hits him there several times, throws a ball of oil at him, then tosses a candle. The fire reacts with the oil, and the guard's body goes up in flames in seconds and he dies. The meeting between the king and Julius ends in failure, and Julius is still determined to take over the kingdom by force. The fat guard arrives and tells Julius that the princess is in her room, sleeping. But suddenly, the burning guard's corpse falls in front of them. Julius freaks out, grabs Kier by his clothes, and orders him to go see what's really happening in the tower and who's throwing dead guards around. He storms off. Moira tries to boss the guards around, but one of them doesn't like her attitude, mocks her, and insults her, saying, "Your orders are meaningless." Moira doesn't argue. She just attacks him, and her whip slices through his neck, killing him instantly. Silence falls over all the guards after what just happened. Moira yells at them, ordering everyone to find out who's killing the guards. They all listen and move out. The princess sees all this and is shocked, knowing that now even more guards will be searching for her. She starts running, but 3 guards block her path and attack her. She gets wounded in her hand, but doesn't give up. She fights back and kills them with quick strikes. But there are too many guards coming up the stairs, so she breaks her chain, throws small balls on the stairs, and the guards slip and fall. She takes the chance to escape, but it's not that easy. She runs into more guards and takes them all down with impressive skill. When she feels like she might die, she grabs a shield and blocks their attacks, then quickly finishes them off. At that moment, more guards appear. The ones who slipped are coming back, and they all surround the princess and attack her, managing to wound her body. She screams so loudly that the guards freeze in their tracks. Realizing she can't take them all, she grabs the nearest guard, smashes him through the wall, and jumps with him to the bottom floor of the tower, using his body as a shield. One guard jumps after them and breaks his legs, and the rest are forced to take the stairs down. The fat guard passes right in front of the princess and does nothing. He's too exhausted from the stairs and doesn't even notice her. The guards close in, but luckily the princess spots a flag outside the tower, grabs it, swings herself to the nearest room, and feels intense pain from her injuries. She starts remembering things again. This time, a memory of eavesdropping on her parents talking about her future. Her mother tells the king to reconsider marrying her to Julius, since the princess doesn't even know him. But the king refuses, saying the marriage is for the good of the kingdom. The princess is shocked and barges in wearing her training clothes. The king is stunned. He didn't know she was training to fight. The princess says, "Let me continue my training and become a strong fighter so I can be the rightful heir to the throne after you." The king gets angry and says, "You're foolish. The throne needs a man, and I see you as a child who needs protection." Julius is from a respectable, wealthy family. He leaves before she can say anything, and she's about to cry. Back in the present, someone enters the room where the princess is, and she's ready to fight. But it turns out to be her mentor, Lin. Lin says, "I've been looking for you everywhere. I'm so glad I finally found you." She treats the princess's wounds and starts explaining what happened. Julius attacked the castle with his men. The king's guards were few and unprepared, and they were all defeated. Lin managed to escape with difficulty. The princess is upset and blames herself, but Lin cuts her off, telling her not to blame herself, and that negative thinking won't help. Lin adds, I know where the royal family is being held, and there's only one way to reach them, a path to the kitchen that's unguarded. When they get there, the cook signals them to leave, and they see 3 guards approaching a maid, clearly planning to harass her. The princess and Lin decide to save her, but Lin accidentally makes a noise, so the guard notices and spots the princess, surprised to see her. Lin immediately punches him in the face, and the princess throws a cleaver at them. The maid manages to escape, and the 3 guards prepare to fight Lin and the princess. The battle starts, with everyone using anything in the kitchen as a weapon, even vegetables. The princess kills the first guard, Lin takes down the second, leaving just one. He's about to jump in the air, but a rope pulls him down and slams him to the ground. It turns out Mara did it. She doesn't attack right away. Instead, she mocks the princess, saying, none of this would have happened if you'd just listened and played your part as the bride. Suddenly, she launches her attack on both of them. The princess and Lin struggle to defend themselves, but Moira manages to wrap her whip around the princess's neck and starts choking her. Lin jumps in, frees her, and creates a wall of fire between them so they can escape. But the princess wanted to fight, but Lin tells her, you have to go save your family, I'll stay here and hold her off. The princess agrees and sneaks into the sewers, and the water carries her straight to the room where her family is being held. She sees the guards just hanging out, playing games and drinking. The princess walks in, takes a cup from one of them as if she's going to drink, then smashes it over the head of the guard who tried to grab her. She attacks the rest of the guards and takes them all down in seconds. When the king sees what she's done, he feels proud. Her mother is both happy and stunned, and her little sister Follett was always confident her big sister would come save her. The princess frees them and tells them to follow her carefully. But suddenly, the guards hit the princess on the head. When she wakes up, she's dazed and can't focus. Then she sees her family has been captured again, and even Lin has been caught by Moira. Julius mocks the princess for rejecting him, saying, because of you, all this chaos happened. Then he slaps her and says, you were born to be my wife. She shoots back, I'd love to be your wife and be by your side every day. But if that happened, I'd make your life a nightmare. You'd sleep with one eye open because I'd be thinking day and night about how to kill you. You'd feel like you're in hell and I won't stop until I'm standing over your corpse. Julius gets furious at her words and realizes she'll never marry him. He looks at Follett and decides to marry her instead, saying, this girl definitely won't give me trouble like her big sister. The princess is shocked. Julius orders the princess to be killed, but she signals to Lin, who understands the plan. The princess stands up and starts fighting one of the guards, causing chaos so Lin can grab Follett and escape. But the princess can't really fight because her hands are tied. Then, out of nowhere, the guard picks up the princess and throws her out the window. She falls into the water, sinking deep into the ocean, unconscious. Her memories flash before her eyes. She remembers telling Lin, I have to save my family. Then, she suddenly wakes up, grabs a shard of broken glass from the window, and cuts the rope binding her hands. She surfaces. Meanwhile, Julius is preparing his wedding ceremony with Follett, and he's ordered his men to search the entire castle for her. The princess sneaks into the tower and is shocked to see the same guard who threw her in the water standing in front of her, ready to kill her. But then a giant armored shield falls on it. It turns out Follett did it. The princess hugs her, then hugs Lin too. The princess tells Lin, I think I made a mistake rejecting Julius. Maybe I should have just agreed to marry him. None of this would have happened. Lin tells her, no way. Julius is a monster and we have to get rid of him. The princess leads them to an underground armor packed with weapons and armor. The princess and Lin suit up, getting ready for the final battle. Meanwhile, the guards are tearing the castle apart looking for Follett. Follett tells her sister, I want to fight with you guys. The princess laughs and says, when I was your age, I wanted to be a warrior too. I promise I'll train you myself, but right now you need to hide and don't come out until we defeat Julius. She hugs her, and they leave together. Julius raises his sword to the queen and orders her to call out for Follett. The queen says, I'd rather cut out my own tongue than do that. Suddenly, Julius hears noise outside. It's the princess, starting a war and taking down Julius's men one by one. Julius is shocked that this girl just won't die. Moira tells him, I'll handle her. Lin joins the princess, and they start taking out guards with arrows. Even though the guards outnumber them, the two make an unstoppable team. Lin draws her double-bladed sword and cuts down anyone in her path. They stand together in the middle of the guards, fighting with all their courage. The princess tells Lin, aim for their weak spots, joints, and sensitive areas. That tactic works. They finish off everyone around them. Meanwhile, Follett sneaks out through a secret passage and gives a sword to Kai so he can cut his rope and free himself. But unfortunately, Julius senses her and catches her, forcing her to stand by his side and ordering the priest to start the wedding ceremony. The princess and Lin hear about this disaster and decide to split up. Lin heads toward the castle, taking down anyone in her way, and makes it inside. She runs into Moira, but Moira ignores her and heads for the princess. Lin crashes the wedding, fighting Julius's men, while Kai tells everyone to evacuate. Kai stands and fights alongside Lin. Moira confronts the princess, saying, "I underestimated you." The princess wants to help, but Moira scares her off with the whip, forcing her to back away. The princess dodges Moira's attacks, hiding behind walls, then stands her ground and blocks Moira's whip with her sword, trying to pull it away but failing. Moira actually pulls the sword out of her hands. The princess doesn't back down, lunges at her, and they get into a hand-to-hand fight. Inside the castle, the king tries to attack Julius, but Julius knocks him down, makes him drop his crown, and stabs him in the stomach. He's about to take the crown, but Lynn intervenes, and a fight breaks out. The princess manages to wrap the whip around Moira's neck, injures her, then chokes her out and finishes her off with her own weapon. Meanwhile, Lynn gets surrounded by guards and fights them off, but Julius seizes the opportunity and stabs her in the back. Kai screams for Lynn. The princess realizes what happened and rushes to save her, but she's too late. Lynn is dead. The princess collapses over her. Julius picks up the royal crown and puts it on. The king looks at the princess, wanting her to fight Julius. The princess pulls herself together, stands up, and tells her family to leave and find somewhere safe. She approaches Julius, ready for the final showdown. The battle begins, and it turns out Julius is a strong fighter. The princess struggles against him. The two duel with swords. Julius manages to stab her in the legs. She's in terrible pain and starts to fall back. Julius gets cocky, thinking he's already won, knocks the sword from her hand, and throws her down in front of the crowd. He says, "Look at the princess, kneeling before the new king. Let this be a reminder to everyone. I won't tolerate anyone disrespecting me in this weak kingdom. The king must be strong." The royal family looks at the princess, full of despair. The princess is totally discouraged, but then she remembers what Lynn always told her about focusing. She waits for the right moment. We see the king say to Julius, "You don't deserve to be king." When Julius looks at him, the princess grabs his sword and kills him, decapitating him right then and there. Finally, the tyrant dies before he can become a dictator. The princess takes the crown and gives it to her father. Everyone is overjoyed because the kingdom is finally theirs again. The king announces that the princess will be his heir to the throne. She's thrilled and kneels before the king. The king continues and says, "From now on, every girl in the kingdom will choose her own fate, just like my daughter did today." He turns to his daughter and says, "I'm proud of you. The whole people owe you, and I was wrong. Forgive me, I should have trusted you." And the whole crowd applauds the future queen. The princess's happiness is complete when she spots Lynn among the guests. She runs over to her and is thrilled that she's still alive, and Lynn congratulates her on what she's accomplished. Peace returns to the kingdom once again. After that, the chubby guard finally arrives after coming down the stairs saying, "I finally found the princess." He had no idea about anything that had happened. Don't forget to share and subscribe to get all new updates.